Hi, Fred. Thank you for doing the interview. And you're in LA now, is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So we met like 2 years ago in Belgrade, and you came for a short vacation, I think. And we started talking about your project, and you finally launched it, which is pictureplace.com. And I was just like very interested in you doing this, like you had retail before and now you're opening e-commerce. And I just like the whole energy that that you were projecting. I like the way, when we first met and you seem like spontaneous, easy. And I really don't know what is going to be the main subject of our conversation, but I just want to dig in a little bit in your decision and then see where it goes. So maybe I'm ranting, I don't know. So let me start like this. So you lived in San Francisco and you had a successful retail in selling frames. Is that correct?
I did. Well, first of all, it was very kind of you to sort of take me in that one day in Belgrade. You were very friendly and supportive, wanted me to see your great city.
Cool. And you showed us LA after. Yeah.
I enjoyed meeting your family, and it was a pleasure to spend some time with you in Los Angeles as well. And I appreciate you caring what I was doing 2 years ago when I was just some stranger with a decent idea. So I appreciate that. Cool. To answer your question, I was in San Francisco for about 30 years, and over the course of those 30 years, I was involved in about 16, 18 different stores, mostly in the art and picture framing world. And I learned a thing or two about picture framing and owning my own retail stores at the time. We did pretty well. Some stores were fantastic. Some stores were just fair, but overall we developed a brand and a name, and I think we did a very good job. One of the things that was consistent throughout all my experiences in these stores, picture framing and art, was that people wanted these gallery walls and wanted the sense of decorating with memories and displaying sort of their own personal stories in different ways. And it was always a bit daunting for people to do that because of all the decisions involved. And we're trying to simplify that, bringing it all under one roof, soup to nuts experience. And whether it's the frames, the mats, the pictures, and telling them how to place it on their wall and really holding their hands in a simple way throughout the process. And it's gone pretty well. It's only been about 2 months off the ground now. And it's going pretty well. There's some things we could do better and differently, I'm certain. And we will over time. And that's where I'm at. So I'm happy to answer all your questions. And it's nice being in e-commerce now. Retail can be very laborious, especially as a small merchant, on the body, moving stuff around, hanging stuff, and I was fortunate that I was able to do it for as long as I did. And this is just a sort of a different, more global lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, so I'm just really interested in this thing that I didn't know you worked for like 3 decades in picture framing. So I'm just really interested because you're the biggest expert that I know, or maybe that I can ever meet in framing pictures, in like how people put pictures of their lives on the walls, just like I did behind, and each of my pictures has a story. So what do you learn about people when you talk about their frames, their pictures, Is there a connection there? I mean, it's probably beyond just selling a frame.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a sort of a window into their history. Everybody has a personal history with highs and lows, and powerful memories with different people in different places. And there's a story behind every picture, and there's a meaning behind every picture, whether it's an actual picture, a piece of art, a menu, a matchbook with a phone number on it, a baseball card, a diploma, a certificate of achievement, or a photograph. They all mean something. So people are very emotional beings and emotional creatures, and everything they put under glass and around, inside of 4 pieces of wood is something about them. We're trying to convey that on the website. I think we can do a better job of it, candidly, and we're moving in that direction as we speak. And I think I've learned that there's another subset of people that are more meticulous than they thought. It's funny, when people frame something, they expect perfection. Even the sloppiest, most casual person is going to take a look at a frame and look at the corners and see how they come together and make sure there's nothing underneath and no dust and specks. it's funny. People become perfectionists when they're involved with picture framing. Even the most imperfect type of people and relaxed type of people can get very uptight about perfection. That's a challenge we've always had with the business.
Yeah. I was, because my house is full of, I collect art, but I collect art that's made by my friends. And in some cases, some of my friends are, known artists, and in some cases they are not known artists. And it just happens to be like a weird collection. And I never thought about it, until I met you, because for me, it was a very spontaneous thing. It was just like, I met someone and I want to have an art piece they made and I put it on my wall. And now I'm a little bit more conscious about this. It's kind of a strange thing. It was always like an invisible thing for me, and now it became so much more. And yeah, I don't know. So what is the strangest thing that you framed? Or maybe most revealing thing, like most surprising thing?
We once framed a pool cue. We framed a lot of nude photos.
Okay.
With the subject matter, bringing them into us to frame.
Yeah.
As I said, a pool cue. We've framed rugs, small rugs, tapestries. There's nothing that's been incredibly weird.
Yeah.
But there's been, again, I think, I've seen a number of dozens of photos of sort of women pregnant, or women in a state where they want to be remembered physically.
Yeah.
But nothing comes to mind that's been like mind-blowingly strange.
Yeah. But surprising in a sense that you see the person and they're framing something that shows a completely different character than they are.
That is true.
Yeah. So
I've seen people been sort of come to tears when we presented the final product to them, like, ta-da. I've seen people break down. I've seen misty eyes. So it's a heartwarming experience, and it's rewarding to be able to sort of provide that. And I don't think they realize they're going to be affected that way when we present the finished product.
Yeah. And what do you think? Do younger people frame? Is it older or younger, or how did it change in the last decades?
I think, as phones became better and better, there was more access to getting framing done online, whereas sort of younger people were starting to do it as sort of a keepsake memento. And with six taps on your phone, you could have something at your front door that was framed. But traditionally, I think it was, people that had a little bit of a disposable income that were more apt to sort of create and design their personal space. They're moving into new chapters of their lives with marriages and house purchases and children. And they want to have something really permanent as part of, the wall decor in their new owned home. So it's gotten, it's gotten a little younger with technology, but, typically the people that spend more money on it, they're probably in their 30s and 40s as opposed to their 20s, 50s, 60s even.
Yeah. So is this a trend that's increasing? Or do you think it's decreasing? Did people frame things more before than now? Or do you think they're going to frame even more later?
It's a good question. I think that it's hard to answer, but I think a little of both. Now we have so many things right on our phone that we would like to put on our walls. Yeah. But at the same time, I think a lot of the pictures we take have very little value because we can take so many and just delete them. So I think the value of the pictures has become a lot less. We look at them digitally on our phone at night. So I think, I think it's even. I think it's even. I think the access to framing and pictures is greater, but they become less important.
Yeah. So it's kind of a steady demand. So,
it's a steady enough demand. I think, if you can innovate and present a compelling offer to your audience, you're going to get your slice of the pie. So whether the market is, whether the addressable market is shrinking or not, I just want my little piece.
Yeah. And how, so your pictureplace.com is let's say is higher quality. I think there is another thing where you can easily print Instagrams and stuff like that. But you're trying to bring the like really high quality. So I don't know if this behind me. I know I paid them like maybe
I mean, look,
$40, something like that each. So something like that. So you're trying to position yourself at that.
Yeah, we're not trying to position ourselves as we have very good quality. Look, at the end of the day, it's wood, glass, and what's called foam core, which is like white cardboardy foam that goes behind everything. So it's 3 types of raw materials. Okay, so we try to use high quality woods that are no composite. We like to get them. We like to use them, make sure they're wide and tall, so they have some heft and some weight to them. We use real museum glass. A lot of people use sort of thinner stuff, but for the most part, yes, our quality is high. But it really is a result of the labor that's putting them together. You're only as good as your weakest factory worker. So if somebody is not putting the right staples in, it's going to fall apart. Someone's not gluing it correctly, it's going to come apart. So you're really only as good as your labor. But we're starting with very high quality raw materials.
Yeah. So what is like the most extreme setup that you've seen, or the most beautiful setup? Like I know in Italy, when I went to some restaurants, I've been to a restaurant in Brașov in Romania where they had like a bunch of animals, like hundreds of animals and guns and so on. So that was not framed, but I'm thinking about the most extreme wall, gallery walls.
I was actually, speaking of Romania, I was in Timisoara with my programmer, actually right before I met you.
Yeah.
And we were at an old communist pub.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to send you some pictures later, but the entire pub, upstairs, downstairs, was one big gallery wall. And with communist memorabilia, which I'm sure could speak to a number of people in your region. Yeah. It was a beautiful night, and I was with my programmer Romeo at the time, and that was probably a very, very symbolic night. And it was literally a gallery wall filled pub, floor to ceiling, upstairs, downstairs, memorabilia with Ceausescu and his wife and the whole thing.
Okay, that's cool. That's probably like, I don't know, hundreds of frames, maybe years of collecting. Yeah.
Decades of collecting, hundreds and hundreds of frames. Again, I'm happy to pull up a picture. I don't want to divert the interview, but I could show you what I'm talking about if you're curious.
Yeah. No. Okay.
Yeah. No.
No, I'm trying to imagine it because it's funny we're mentioning Romania. I've been to Romania only once. I organized a party at the Dracula's castle in village of Bran, and I remember that again they have this thing with walls, bears and walls. Like walls are like you don't see the wall. Everywhere I've been, it was like the walls were full. Maybe it's just an accident, but they're very much into it. So what's your main inspiration? Because I see a lot of your photos are family oriented. You could be putting sports or I don't know a bunch of other stuff, but I mostly see family stuff. And it's your stuff on Facebook. You seem to be very, into, family oriented.
Traditionally, people like to put pictures of babies and dogs, their spouses, family. It's a gallery wall of family memories. That's an emotional product, and so if you can tug at someone's emotions. Those are very powerful drivers of behavior and purchasing.
Yeah.
So that's why we sort of go in that direction. We're going to experiment with different types of artwork and whatnot, but for the most part, I think the main subject that ends up in a gallery wall or in a frame is often a photograph of a person.
No, but I mean personally as well. You seem to be, soft on that side. You're not like, because I know other people that are like, they're mostly like art, sport, but you're really focusing on this thing, so I don't think you see it only as okay, that's where the business goes. I think you really like that. That's my impression. Like you really care about that. That's something
I have a soft side to me, and my eyes can water sometimes when they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm aligned with my product to some extent, for sure. Yeah. If you show me an old black and white photo or a sepia tone photo of a couple immigrating somewhere, that you could see their story on their face, especially some of the older pictures are can be very moving to me personally. Sure.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so how do you see the future of picture framing? Like, let's say 20, 30, 50 years from now,
I think more and more the independent shopkeepers are probably going to go out of business. Most of the industry is driven by owner operators who are just scraping to do enough framing just to pay the rent. Maybe they're going to keep what's left over. Mm-hmm. They can't afford to be in a high retail traffic location. They're mm-hmm. artisans. I think a lot of those we'll call ma and pas are slowly going out of business as leases expire, mm-hmm. as e-commerce sort of changes the trajectory of what people can do online. There's some big players in the space already, and a lot of little ones, a lot of baby ones like myself as well. All those are sort of eating away at the independents, mm-hmm. the owner operators. So I think there's going to be less stores and more places to go online. Yeah,
but in terms of what consumers get, like different technology, or you think it's going to be
nothing that's going to rock the boat. It's kind of an old school business. It's again, it's wood, paper, and glass banged together and glued together and nailed together.
Yeah.
So it's how are you going to deliver that? What's the mechanism to deliver that? Yeah. And how innovative can you be?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking now. I remember that in Star Trek, the Next Generation, they still have framed stuff on the walls. If I remember correctly, and that's kind of like the way. That's interesting choice, because even that far ahead, they decided that they keep that as a traditional thing because it's been around, for like hundreds of years. I mean, they didn't change at all. I think just a little bit. Maybe as you say, marketing and sales and production, but from the side of the customer, everybody wants the same thing.
It's a low tech look. It's a historically very, 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 very low tech business that we're just trying to come up with another vehicle to repackage it and deliver it differently. Mm-hmm. The nice thing is, a lot of it is a service business. Again, we're just selling commodity. Most everyone sells the same black simple frame.
Yeah.
You go in a frame shop in Prague, in London, in LA, in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and South Africa, and you could find almost the same black frame. It's just it's pricing, marketing, and labor, and
So you think there's not going to be like a screen or something, or a frame that can change? They've been trying to do that for 20 years already. It's not.
There are some things out there. There's some tabletop frames or some wall frames that are Bluetooth driven, and someone can put a picture on them from afar. But that's really technology, and I don't think I wouldn't call that art. That's just a way to display photos.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to dramatically eat into the picture framing business. Mm-hmm. That's more of an electronic gimmick, and not far off of what you can do with a television.
Okay.
In fact, I'm sure there's televisions where you can put your pictures from your phone up on your TV and turn the televisions into art.
No, super boring. Yeah. I just did an interview, I think recently with a French friend of mine who invented a table where you can play art videos, so that was interesting. I don't know if you saw that. I just interviewed him, I think last week. So he's kind of doing an extreme thing, in terms of showing art in your home, where the entire table is a projection, is a screen. He did it with Philip Stark, I think, and it took him a long time to develop it. Like 4 or 5 years or something. It's very expensive. I think 5,000. But
okay.
Yeah, but that's an extreme thing, and that's for contemporary art and art videos only, like very specific videos. He makes content and then he sends it via cloud and stuff like that. So that's an extreme thing. How did Corona affect you?
The only way it affected me is through my distribution center. They experienced some challenges in continuing to operate. So they weren't ready to sort of distribute for me. So we used the time, which was about 2 months, to add some features to our website. And I wouldn't say it affected me adversely at all.
Okay. So yeah, because you're starting, yeah. Maybe it gave you, maybe it was in a sense it's positive, because also for me it was a little bit positive where I'm not under pressure to I took some extra months as well to polish things up, to make it better. It kind of gave me a bit more time and to think a bit more about things.
I was thankful that I didn't have stores anymore.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. And I wanted to ask something, let me remember. Who is your favorite photographer or photo, or just something that's your favorite piece of art that's framed? Or photo?
It's right to my left here. It's by a photographer named Michael Joseph.
Yeah.
And it's the Rolling Stones in 1968. And I believe they're rehearsing for their Beggars Banquet tour, which was in 1968. It's all 5 original members of the Stones. There's Mick in the middle. Here's Keith right here. And I think this was filmed shot again, 1968 by a photographer who did the album cover, again, named Michael Joseph. I think this was an estate in the south of France where they were living and rehearsing. That's my favorite.
Okay, nice. It's right there. That's cool. Okay, I don't know. I mean, it's just that's it. That's the main thing I wanted to ask. So, hopefully we do another one when your sales jump up. And,
I think I will say this. We are doing, as I'm sure you know this word, we are doing a little bit of a pivot where we're going to try and show some things, other uses for our products, and we're sort of reshuffling our deck a little bit and making it a little bit more user friendly on the site. So I would look forward to doing this with you again in about 8 weeks.
Yeah, cool. Well, as I said, I hope you go super high and then you don't forget us. We do another interview when you're like the #1 picture frame, brand in the world.
Well, I got a ways to go, and I appreciate your pats on the back, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. And thank you.
One last thing. Sorry, it's not done yet. I always ask, do you have a question for me?
What inspired you to do what you do and conduct these interviews and post them up on YouTube?
Okay, that's a good one. Well, I figured out that I'm learning a lot doing them. I talk to people with whom, like you, that I feel I can learn something, and I think that everybody interviewed, it was really I learned more than just having a chat. It's a bit of a trick because I'm interviewing mostly friends and people I like. And I'm not trying to make it into some kind of a visit or a famous thing. I just really enjoy doing these interviews, and I think people talk differently when you say it's an interview. And then I think about it differently after. And I think I keep rewinding them in my head and I really enjoy them. So they're a great learning experience, because I consider myself always a designer. And, the more I learn, the better it is. And this seems to be a really good way to learn, from other people, So thank you. Yeah, that's cool.
So what drives you? Is it learning? Is it growing a business? Is it money? Is it just interacting?
For doing interviews,
For
doing interviews, it's learning. Basically, I really enjoy learning. There is no business benefit to it. And I hope that other people are watching them and learning. But for business, I think my main drive, I'm not so motivated by money. I guess because I kind of had it always. I was never in trouble, maybe for a few years when we were younger, but my father was a successful businessman, so we were fine. So I never had that need. I have friends who had trouble with money, so they're much more driven by money than me, which is also a good thing. I'm always driven by some ideological idea. What I want to do with my business is, and I think we're similar in that. I think the way you're talking about your business, I think I have a feeling like inside that you're a much more softer person. You're presenting it in business terms. Just like when I spoke to Jeremy, a friend in Miami, and he's talking about, he owns a small business. He's, a tourism brand in Miami, and he's talking in business terms, but I can feel it that he's there is a reason why he chose to do that niche thing. He really loves it. He really, really loves what he's doing. And you feel like you really love it money is great. It's good. You're in America, it's making money and stuff. But I think you really love what you're doing. I can see that. So I also feel about my business. I hope it makes a change, you know, and you know, I hope it works out in this. But it's not the money's. You know, my father had a money business. It was a very good money making thing, but it didn't suit me ideologically, you know. So it doesn't make much of a change. It's just a big money business. It works. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, sorry. You seem to me like as well that you really care about, you know, making a great frame, you know, making it work for people, you know.
I think if you can do that and you enjoy what you're doing and you keep striving to make a better product, the money should come.
Yeah. Well, as well, yeah. So, I mean, or maybe not, but I think it's worth trying. You know, I'm a bit more extreme. I'm trying more with super extreme products that I hope can change. If they work out, they can change a lot. They can make a big change for people. But I think there is also, I mean, you're also doing it in your own way. You know, I mean, you know, it's just. I think what you're doing is really great, you know, and I feel safe. I feel very good when someone so passionate about what you're doing is doing it. You know, that's really good. You know, if I would, I mean, before I met you, I would never buy, you know, the frames. You know, now I'm actually thinking every time you put something. I mean, I'm probably gonna buy at some point, you know, but you know, I'm there yet because of all the passion and you know that you really care about it, you know. Otherwise, I don't, you know, that they don't make sense to me. But from you, they make sense, you know, because you really care, and that kind of made me care more.
You're very kind. You always have been. Thank you. And
it's just an impression. That's my impression. Yeah. Just like I want to go to rainforests because of Jeremy. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Okay,
Fred. Stay in touch. Good luck. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Bye.